Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. The conversation continues, still on safety. Today I want us to look at what you call the hidden hazards or the hidden risks. And sometimes, of course, okay, let me demystify this. I know we are using the word hazard and risk, and we'll be using a lot interchangeably. And I think in one of the videos I've also tried to explain, but just very quickly, hazard is anything or any situation or act that has potential to cause harm. So potential, stima tunatumia, it has a potential to cause harm, but it is not causing harm. Why is it not causing harm? I'll tell you why. Let's first of all look at the definition of risk. Risk, on the other hand, is a probability that harm will actually occur from the hazards that are present. Now let me tie the two. We are using steamer even to shoot this video. But why am I not getting electric shock? Why will I not be electrocuted? Because there's something that has deliberately been done to control the risk, the probability, the likelihood, the chance that harm can be caused from this electricity. And what has been done? Proper wiring, you have the circuit breakers, the cables are all insulated. We are using power from a socket that has a fuse. We are using a plug to tap that power and not two wires like some of you do. So all these things have been done to reduce the risk of us getting into contact with electricity, because electricity is a hazard. It is something that has the potential to cause harm, but we still need it. So we control it, we mitigate, and therefore we lower the risk, we lower the chance, we lower the probability. Okay? So I'll be using those two words. So whenever you hear me use risk and hazard, now you know the difference. Okay? So I want to talk about the hidden ones. And particularly I want to address people who are working in offices. And let me tell you, you're not lost, because even before, the way the Occupational Safety and Health Act was called, it was actually called the Factories and Other Places of Work Act. So it had actually more focus on factories and then the other places of work. However, the amendment in 2007 says now it is the Occupational Safety and Health Act that all workplaces must therefore look at the act and do deliberate actions to be able to keep their people safe. But I'm talking about this because people in offices, you guys are assuming you're actually the safest because you don't have machines, you don't have chemicals you're dealing with, there's no noise, there's no vibration, there's no radiation. But hold, wait a minute. Can I tell you actually that people in factories today are safer than you guys in the offices? And you ask how and why? And this is why. Because as more information on safety has come, we are more aware of what you're dealing with in terms of chemicals, and therefore we have employed what you'd call mitigation measures, something we call control of hazards, from either substituting the hazardous ones with the less hazardous or eliminating the process altogether, engineering controls, administrative controls, and even PPE. And that is why people in factories today, everywhere you walk in, they're either in PPE or their system is automated, so they are not required. There is no human interaction as much. So as we are getting to learn more about safety, people in factories are becoming safer and safer than you guys in the offices. And you may wonder why. Let me start even with the issue of ergonomics. And I am very passionate about this one because you've heard this cliche statement that sitting is a new smoking, and it is true. What you'd call non-communicable diseases, right? From diabetes to heart issues, deep vein thrombosis because of sitting for long hours, you guys in offices are actually at a higher risk now than people in the factories. The people in the factories, remember now they are working with safer chemicals. And even if they're not working with safer chemicals, those hazardous chemicals, there are measures that have been put in place, either by automation or separating the processes. They're actually not being exposed to those. And they are moving around. So they're actually safer than you guys. So what will we do to you who are in the offices? Simple actions, simple advice. Number one, can you remove that printer from your desk and put it far away in that corner so that you have to walk to collect your paper that you've printed? Can you make sure that every 20 minutes you stare in a screen, you take a break of about 20 seconds? Stare at something that is at least 20 feet away or 20 yards away. Right? We call it the 20-20-20 rule, that will actually protect your eyes from long-term exposure on the display screen equipment. So you're saying, after every 20 minutes, take your eyes off. Stare at something that is about 20 yards away. This will actually relax your ocular muscles before you go back to whatever it is you're doing. When it comes to sitting, and I have promised a video on how to sit properly in the offices in neutral posture, you are able then to reduce the risk of musculoskeletal disorders. I'm telling you this, and I want you to do your own survey. There are people today undergoing physiotherapy and they are not yet even 40. It's not an issue of old age. Na nyinyi Gen Z mnaona 40 ikiwa wazee sana. Munakuja. Ni saa hii tu. Let me tell you. Some are actually even undergoing physiotherapy and they are below 40. Why? Wrong sitting posture, awkward sitting posture, and repetitive motions in the workplace. Let me address the issue of call centers, because I think this is becoming a problem. And particularly, two things. One, the use of headsets. Exposure of your eardrum to constant energy exposure from noise. And two, the issue of being crammed in one room with poor ventilation. So you guys are facing two issues. One, respiratory disorders. And two, the issue of occupational deafness. And let me tell you something interesting about occupational diseases. They are not your kawaida disease that you go to the hospital, in 2 days you're back to work. Occupational diseases sometimes will not even take you out of work. They are slow, they are progressive, and they are sure. And they are chronic. You never recover from them. The moment an occupational disease has landed, it is there with you for life. Once you spoil your back, chances are you'll either go for surgery, for physiotherapy, and even after surgery, there are things you'll never do again in your life. So, what is the best way? It is to prevent. To the employer running a call center, let me advise you. The law requires you to do what you call medical examinations. And I'm talking about occupational medical exams. And I want to demystify what insurance is giving you is wellness. You guys do wellness every year. Mnaenda mnapima BMI, mnapima pressure, mnapima sijui eyes, and that is wellness from the insurance. If you're not doing your medicals with a designated health practitioner registered by DOSH, and you're being issued with a certificate of fitness, then that is not the medicals I'm talking about. I'm talking about medical examination as outlined in the medical examination rules of 2005, where you're supposed to do a pre-employment medical exam. For call center, take that person for a proper audiometry. Have their audiogram. Every year, take them back for an audiometry. Compare the audiograms and see whether the work they are doing is actually affecting their ability to respond to certain frequencies of sound. Because that is all you check in audiometry. So you guys are doing wellness every year and then you're telling us we've done medical exams. You have not done medical exams. Medical exams under the medical exam rules are done by a designated health practitioner. That is a doctor registered by the Directorate of Occupational Safety and Health Services. You'll find their names listed on their website, and those are the only people allowed to carry out occupational medical exams. And I'm not saying don't do the wellness, continue. Sometimes it's actually a free gift from the insurance. Enjoy it, it's okay. It has its own place. But medical exams are compulsory. And let me tell you the backside of not doing the medical exams, and especially the pre-employment. If I move from one call center and I come and work in your call center, and in 2 years I'm not able to hear, how do you prove my hearing ability was not lost in your workplace? You had the opportunity of catching my ear problem at the pre-employment medical exam, because the audiogram would have told you this guy is not able to respond to certain frequencies. Therefore, their hearing ability is actually slowly disappearing. And therefore, what do? You redeploy me to a place where you know that will not be exacerbated. But without that record, you have no proof that my hearing ability was not lost in your workplace. So basically what I'm saying is, carry out your annual medical exams, carry out your pre-employment medical exam, and finally carry out what you call a post-employment medical exam. That means before you clear the employee, take them to that designated health practitioner, a DHP. Let them do a proper medical exam based on what exposures this person was facing. And I'll tell you some of the medicals that are done. We have the general. The general is almost similar to what you do in wellness. They'll do the height, the weight, the pressure, the vitals. They'll do an eye checkup just to confirm that this person is okay. They'll basically do an interview. They'll assess the ergonomics of this person. And then you'll come to the issue of if someone is working in a noisy environment or they are using a headset, even that receptionist, you may not be a call center, but you have a receptionist who is using a headset throughout to respond to calls and correspondences with your clients. Take that person to an audiometric exam. Someone working with fumes, take them to what we call a lung function test, all right, or what we call spirometry. Confirm that the fumes are actually not interfering with their ability to breathe. For someone who is actually exposed to chemicals, especially for example in a farm, you want to take this person to what we call cholinesterase enzyme tests, because this is the one thing that tells you whether these chemicals are getting to their bloodstream or they are not. And finally, to people in offices, you think, we are very safe, we don't have any chemicals. I want you to go to the washroom today and check out, you have an air freshener. You're being exposed to what we call volatile organic compounds. You have Harpic, check it out. Ask whether the cleaner even knows what is in Harpic. And I'm just using Harpic as an example. It could be any other toilet cleaner, all right? It's the same way you'd say Blue Bandia Prestige, okay? So I have no issue with Harpic. All these toilet cleaners are based on acids. Your toilet cleaner is an acid that corrodes. I want you to go take that toilet cleaner, have a look at it even right now and see. It has a label there warning you that it should only come into contact with the ceramic bowl of your toilet. Any contact with the hands, it's like you'll have touched raw acid. The percentage may be different, but it is an acid. In fact, there is a label there showing you that this is corrosive. But then we assume we don't have any dangerous chemicals in the offices, so we are okay. That our air quality is okay because you have AC. Do an indoor air quality, you'll be surprised at the levels of pollutants that you're inhaling, which goes back to the principle of the sick buildings that we've actually addressed in a previous video. So what are we saying? Even you in the office, you're not safe. Be deliberate about identifying what could be wrong and addressing it. Nothing works on its own. Everything requires deliberate effort, everything requires investment, and everything requires goodwill, and especially from you, the employer. So you're there and you're wondering, whatever James is saying is actually true, but where do we begin? It is simple. Give us a call, write us an email, or DM us, even on this video. What are we going to do for you? We'll do the audits for you. We'll send our designated health practitioner to you for the medical examinations. And in fact, actually, even the audit will help us tell you which are the tests that your staff must undergo for you to be said to be compliant. Because even the medical exams are supposed to be risk-based. We are supposed to identify what you're exposed to so that we tell you what tests then must be done. So basically, we are saying call us. We'll be able to do for you the audits. We'll be able to do the assessments. We'll be able to do even the indoor assessments that we are talking about, the light, the air quality, and even the noise. So feel free, reach out, and we'll be able to help you on that. Thank you.